One power in the universe. I'm here to remind you, join me if you will in a centering moment. I'm here to remind you that there is one power and only one power, and it moves in as and through each of us. It is the truth of us. It is how life expresses itself. I'm the opportunity for that power to be something unique, and so is each one of us. Knowing that, I can celebrate this time together with open heart, open mind, and an excitement to know something better about myself, about the world, and about how life works. Knowing that there is but one power, its only desire is to express itself. I let this be the truth for me, and so it is. So welcome. Those of you with two screens may have seen me having a great time with that song. I realized after some people started laughing that that was happening. So the whole point of this is to enjoy and to have the joy of life. So we're here to celebrate that. I'm here to tell you that because it is the nature of life to express itself, and that's all it wants, its only desire is to show up, then who you are is worth celebrating. Who you are is of great value, regardless of where you've been and what you've done and all of those things that you may hold against yourself. We instead are going to celebrate you for them because you've been God's opportunity, life's opportunity to show up. That is who we are, and that's what we celebrate here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Midtown. We welcome everyone from all walks of life. We have folks in our organization from various religions, as well as from those who consider their New Thought philosophy a religion. So we're grateful to have you with us as well. And whoever you are, whatever you are, if you're new with us for the first time, I invite you at the end of today's celebration to stay on for a few moments and introduce yourself so we can say hi and know who you are. If either way, however that works for you. If you prefer to be a little quieter, I attended my first Science of Mind Center for probably 6 months before I told anybody who I was. I came late and left early because I didn't know kind of what this thing was. So we're here to tell you we are simply a community that is here to love and support and celebrate you. So I invite you to continue to be with us. We do this every Sunday at this time. So continuing the understanding of who we are, what we do, we have a declaration of principle, which was written by our founder. And I invite you to join me, if you will, and if you'd like to, in reading it aloud or just follow along on your screen. I believe in one God, one absolute power, first cause to all things. I believe that this power is perfect love, and it creates out of a desire to express love. I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience. I believe in the unity of all life and the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding. I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all. And so it is. So each week we have a wonderful practitioner. A practitioner is someone who is within our organization, who is licensed by the organization as a recognition of the years of training and background they have put in, as a recognition of their ability to use principles of spirit, principles of spirituality to support people in their living and in their work. If you run into things that you want prayer support on, or treatment support as we call it, a practitioner is someone to contact, and we'll have more information up later about that to let you know who you could reach out to and where. But for now, we're going to have a presentation by one of our practitioners, our co-leads, who is going to bring us some good thoughts, probably some music, I'm not sure. He is responsible for all of the music in our celebration, and we're grateful for what he does. And he'll also bring us an affirmative prayer. So without me going any further, I introduce to you Doug Moody.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. First off, I want to wish all the mothers out there happy Mother's Day. Gosh, where would we be without you, right? It's a special day this morning, too, because you may see a little toggle in people who are participating in the call that says Elaine's phone. Well, Elaine is my mom too. She's actually Greg's mom, but she's joined us this morning, and it's a treat to have her with us this morning as well. So celebrating all the moms out there with much love and gratitude. I love the topic of today's talk, listen to your heart. And I found an Ernest Holmes quote that I thought was very insightful. And it says very simply, everything in life responds to the song of the heart. Not just some things, everything. Your loving relationships, your work and your self-expression, your physical health, your abundance and financial ability that you bring to your life. So I think it's really important for us to tune in to what our heart is saying. And I don't know how many of you have had the chance to visit the little page where we send out what's going on and about each Sunday's talk. But interestingly, the one for today mentioned the fact that, you know, when we are embryos in the womb, the first sense that develops is hearing. And the very first thing we hear is our own heartbeat, and then the heartbeat of our mother. And how that heartbeat is our guiding force through our life. I just thought that was so beautiful. And just to share a brief experience of how that has impacted my life recently. For years, I've been involved in commercial real estate, and it's been very fun, and it has blessed me very much, and I'm very grateful for that. And I have a wonderful network of friends and colleagues in that industry. And about a year ago, I decided I wanted to branch out into something that was maybe a little bit more creative and a little bit more fun, something that I've always kind of enjoyed doing, but never really thought about doing it as a way to help other people and at the same time make a living. And I took a job in sales at a business that helps people with designing and furnishing their homes. And I've always enjoyed that, and it's always been a lot of fun, but I never really thought about doing it as a career or a profession. So I took a part-time job, mainly because it's also 5 minutes away from our house. And within first 6 months, working part-time, just my online sales and orders that I actually facilitated helping people with generated over 16% of that flagship store's gross revenues for 2019 in just 6 months' time. Actually 5 months, because the first month there I was in training. And I thought, wow, this is really fun. And at the same time, you know, I'm not spending my money, I'm spending their money, but helping them create their living environment and getting a lot of, you know, just love and support and great feedback from the people that I'm helping. And so it's just really been a fantastic experience. And long story short, 6 months later, I got promoted to a junior designer position with the company. And I'm now helping them in a designer capacity. And I can't wait for our store to reopen because I really miss my work there. And it's been so much fun. And it's actually more like playing and not like work. And so when I think about today's theme, listen to your heart, it really resonates with me personally just recently, because you really should be doing what you love in everything. And following your heart, listening to your heart is so important. And, you know, we hear that time and time again, you know, throughout our lives, and follow your heart. And it's not only in your work, but it's in your relationships with people. You know, it's in your investments and how you steer your money and what you invest in. You got to invest in things that you believe and that really resonate with you. And I think that's at the core of our teaching. And we find the same thing in our health. You know, do the things that promote health that you really love doing. If it's just a simple walk outside on a beautiful day for a mile or two, or, you know, if you love going to the gym and doing resistance training, or, you know, joining a Zumba class or a Tai Chi class, all of those things, follow your heart because they work so much more and better for you in the long run. And so that was my message this morning. And I found another quote, and it was from Stephen Jobs. He gave a graduation, he was their guest speaker, their honorary speaker at a graduation. I can't remember exactly. I think it was from one of the tech schools out in California. And it was probably about 6 or 8 months before he passed and made his transition. But he said something very beautiful there. He said, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. I thought that was just really beautiful and on point for today. And I know Dr. Bob Deen's going to get into it a lot more. So I'm just going to move on now. And if you would, please join me in affirmative prayer. I'm going to say this in the first person for each of you, and accept whatever resonates with you, and whatever doesn't resonate, just let it go over your shoulder. And just get comfortable in your chair, in your seating where you are right now. And just know this together with me. There's one infinite power, one presence, one light, one love, one cosmic something operating throughout the universe and operating through me and each person present, right here, right now, and always. And I and each are one with this infinite power and presence because it is always within each of us. Always simply waiting our recognition and calling it forth. And I call it forth now, knowing that I am and each are one with the infinite power, the infinite creator, and with all creation in life. And knowing this, I claim divine wisdom, divine love, divine courage, guiding me and each forward every day, and not only listening to our heart, but having the courage to act on what that intuition and what our heart is telling me and telling each. I know that in doing so, I am living my calling. I am living my truth. I am doing exactly what I was created to do by God. I claim this knowledge, this understanding with much love and joy and excitement, knowing that I have everything within me to create all the good I desire in my life and in making the world a better place. I am grateful for this teaching, for this center. I'm grateful for Dr. Bob Deen, the wonderful staff of practitioners, all of our wonderful volunteers that make our center a beautiful place for growth and for expanded living and for love. My heart is overflowing with love and joy and gratitude, knowing that I have within me a beautiful song to bring to the world in living my truth. So I listen to my heart, and I know that it is wonderful and that I am always perfectly guided when doing so. And knowing this, I release my word into the universal law, knowing it is done. I simply let it be so, and it is wonderful. And together we say, and so it is. And now we have our reflective music this morning. It's a song by Daniel Nahmad called Water. And what I love about this song is that, you know, when you think about water, it has different forms. And the message of the song is when you're listening to your heart and when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, it's just so much easier to go with the flow instead of fighting the resistance. So enjoy this message in this song, and thank you for being with us.
Wow, that was great. Thank you. Want to be like water. So today's talk is on listening to our hearts. And I would tell you that, as you probably already know, anytime we start discussing or doing a listening to our hearts kind of exercise or thought, it often brings up emotions, lots of emotions, and especially on Mother's Day. So you may find yourself feeling joy and happiness. You may find yourself feeling some sadness and regret. Whatever comes up for you during this talk, know with me that it is coming up either to be released by expressing and experience it, or it's coming up to be celebrated. And either way, like the eagle in that song, don't fight it. Just let it float, go with it, and know that it's perfectly okay. And if we were all together physically, I would be saying, and this is a safe place to do that. And wherever you are in your home, I trust that it's a safe place for you as well. So that is kind of my opening for this talk, and I will go from there. So for most of my life, I love this background because this is a wonderful place in North Florida that I've been to more than once and used to go with my grandfather when this was difficult to get to. It was way back in the swamp. Since then, a highway's been built nearby, and you can get there from a short drive off the highway. And it's really kind of a strange sort of a thing. You know, do you ever feel like your mother's looking over your shoulder? I have for much of my life. Yeah, I see some thumbs up out there. Hit the clap button on the bottom of your screen if you'd like, and let me know this. For much of my life, that is exactly how I have felt. Because, and sometimes it was a really good thing because I felt supported and loved and nurtured and cared for. And other times that same look could be more like judgment and criticism and, oh my goodness, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I'm getting the look, whether she was there in person to do it or not. Now, I love to talk about her on this day because I am celebrating her transition about 5 years ago. She transitioned just a day or two from now. Actually, it's 6 years ago. And as with so many of us, my mother played a major role in my life. And anytime I think about listening to my heart, I mean, not let me block her out. She's always back there, but we won't look at her. If she were here, she'd be fussing because her hair's not like she wanted it to be. But anyway, you know, anytime that we start thinking and talking about our hearts, the quickest way through to your heart center, is thinking about your mother. However that experience has been, and I know for some people that's a very painful experience and very difficult at times, and for others it's not, or it's a mix. You know, Doug said it for me, and I appreciated that the second sound we hear is the sound of our hearts and our mother's hearts. So that the very thought of that, the very sound of, you know, the heartbeat on a drum, which is something that we use in Native American ritual and in Native American drumming circles, and in any time people are gathering to go deeper, one of the gentle ways to do that is to be very quiet and listen to the heartbeat on the drum, because it, consciously or not, takes us back to that very first experience of life, where we first begin to know life. Kabbalah says that all of creation began not with light, but with sound. And it began when consciousness began to bump against itself and move within itself, and the friction created sound. And out of that sound, and out of that movement of life with life and consciousness against consciousness, that rubbing together, sound began to show up, and sound began to take form as word, and word became structure, and word became the thing itself. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. I have to say a little Bible stuff on Mother's Day, too. She was a good Baptist lady. Always was. So it's important in thinking about and listening to our hearts that we tap into that deeper space, that deeper place, because the heart is the center of consciousness. The heart is the place where, I talked about this last week, where we come in contact and more directly than any other way with our soul, with that part of us that is infinitely connected to the infinite, to God, to spirit. Now, it is true that all of us always, every time, all of time, is connected to the infinite and connected to the universe. We are the universe. We are the center of it all. And yet there are times and places and ways that we have a greater awareness of that and a greater experience of it. So what comes with this then is, if we want a greater ability to listen to our hearts, then we can choose and decide, I'm going to do that. I want to do that, because it's built in. It's already speaking to us all the time, just like my mother over my shoulder was always talking to me. Your heart is always bringing forward its ideas, its thoughts, whether we're aware of it or not. Spirit within us is always speaking and creating. And the choice then to listen more carefully is the choice to hear more deeply into our oneness, into our truth, into the greater way that we can love and be loved, into the greater way that we can know and tap into the knowing of all of what is really ours to be. And out of that being comes our doing. So how do you do that? Well, one of our great writers wrote a book called The Power of Decision. And part of it is just the act of deciding and choosing, I want to live from my heart. I want to listen to my heart. Sets into motion in the spiritual law that we teach and believe and live within, a natural process then of attracting into our experience everything we need to do what we have chosen to do. It's like once you make a choice, once you make a decision, you can hear all the pieces beginning to clank into place to enable and allow that to happen, and allow it to go forward. So deciding is the first step. And then begin to ask yourself some questions. Is this the most loving response to whatever may be going on? What is the most loving way to be? Or am I acting and thinking and feeling out of some kind of fear? You know, that's the great question. Love and fear, love and fear. We are constantly walking through our lives, choosing between those two things. And thinking whether we're really conscious of it or not, it's still going on. It's right there. Love or fear. I used to go to a retreat center and that had that painted over all of the doors. When you walked through a door, you had a choice, love or fear. The irony is I first noticed it painted over the bathroom door going out. It was kind of like, okay, so do I go out of this place in love or in fear? Do I make a choice in my next move in love or fear? If my choice is love, then my heart is speaking more carefully, more openly, more thoroughly, and I am able to then hear and experience my heart's song. Another way is to set aside time for meditation. To set aside time to listen to music that moves us and gives us that warm feeling. The heart is the anchor place for our feelings. It is that spot in that place within us where we hear our song, perhaps in a way that we had not before. So as we move into that, we do so hearing the song of the universe, the song within us, as we listen to our hearts. I'm sharing my screen, but it looks like I'm not sharing the right one. Let's try that again. There we go. Because I want you to see this quote from Dr. Ernest Holmes about this. This is our theme for the day. This was supposed to be an earlier part of the talk, but I'll say it now. I was treated this gift on my balcony this morning of a mother bird feeding two baby birds who had just come out of their nest. And they made it out of the nest and the tree over to my deck, and I could see them out on the railing as the mama bird fed the two little ones. And this is what that picture's about. So here's what Ernest Holmes says: the sweet song of the silence, forever singing in my heart. Words cannot express, tongue cannot tell. Only the heart knows the songs which we never sung, the music which was never written. I have heard that great harmony and felt that great presence. I have listened to the silence. And in the deep places of life, I have stood naked and receptive to the songs, thy songs, and they've entered my soul. I am lost in the mighty depth of the inner calm and peace. Listening to the heart brings that song to life in our thoughts, our minds. It taps into that deeper truth. One of the blessings, sometimes a blessing, and though it may not always feel like a blessing, when we listen to our heart, when we get closer to the center of our heart and our inner heart begins to speak, there's some other stuff that hangs around the outside of our hearts. And that's where that stuff about duality, that's where that place where anything in any part of our lives that we didn't feel loved or haven't been loving often shows up. It's like a layer on the outside. It isn't your heart. It isn't in your heart, but it's hanging around close to it. Moments from childhood, perhaps, that were hurtful and painful, where you were bullied or where you were a bully. Moments in life where things just seem to go so wrong and there seems to be so much unresolved pain around it. And the more we listen to our heart and we tap into that, quite often the more that stuff bubbles up. Or I kind of think of it like dandruff. It sloughs off. You don't need it anymore. That's why it shows up. But it doesn't change the beauty of your hair or the goodness of your body or your life. It's just extra skin that's got to go somewhere. And as we recognize what's going on, it's got to come up and come out. Fur balls is what I used to call it because it felt a lot bigger at times. It's like if you've ever had a cat, you know they cough up fur balls because they get too much of it in their system. Well, the heart gets surrounded by that stuff, and the fur balls have got to come out. One of my fur balls is having been my favorite book as a child. My mother read it to me because I begged her to again and again and again. And it was the story of the Pokey Little Puppy. And the Pokey Little Puppy was always behind everybody else. The rest of the gang would be together and they'd be getting stuff done. And the Pokey Little Puppy was off smelling strawberries or flowers or getting lost in his own thoughts, and always a bit out of step with everyone else. Now, in the end, he came out okay because his mama always took care of him, which is what I loved about that book. But what I didn't love about the book and about the experience of that was that inner feeling of always being out of step with everybody else. I was the Pokey Little Puppy. And when that fur ball came up, it was pretty painful because associated with that were all these feelings of when it actually happened and what's going on for me. Now, that's how that works. Am I stuck in it? Absolutely not. Did I stay stuck in it? No. Because the beauty of listening to your heart is it also carries with it the love and the peace and the power to let that stuff just go, so it no longer directs or guides or manages anything you're doing. So you let go the fur ball. I may be the pokey little puppy, but I always get where I'm going at exactly the right time for me. That's never been wrong, and that's never missed a beat. And I know that now. I know that with my life. I can compare it to the horse races out there and the people who seem to be on a single track and they get where they're going, and that's just fine for them, but it's not my path. Because I miss out on too many things where I see and smell the flowers and the richness of life in all kinds of ways and directions that I've followed, and it has served me so beautifully and so well. But it took some time to work through that pokey little puppy stuff. Still does. Please don't send me the books. I have 2 or 3 copies. Thank you. So, it's there and it's moving us forward. So whatever that is for you, if it's sadness about the loss of someone, if it's remembering the times of being hurt, there are people and places and opportunities where we can support you in healing that and moving through it in a way that it no longer defines your life in a negative or limiting way. Because the heart is the place of the center of spirit within you, the center of the universe within you, and it is the freedom in listening to it to take you out and into a higher and greater place. So when you listen to your heart, you find that still point, that beautiful place within. The place not to run hide to get away from everything, because unfortunately or fortunately, the heart doesn't do that. The heart is that still point from which to live out into your life, but from a different way, and in a way that is rich and giving and beautiful. We live from the heart and we move forward from the heart. Listen again to Dr. Holmes. The universe holds nothing against us. No matter how many mistakes we have made, we are still perfect beings within and without, and the within may become the without, if we will carefully train ourselves to listen to the inner voice of truth, which speaks to us in our moments of quiet and solitude. And I would add to that speaks to us from our hearts. There is where we learn to hear them. That is the place. So I want to invite you to join me now, if you will, for just a few moments of listening to our hearts. And so I'm inviting you to do that, and if you're in a safe, quiet place where you can close your eyes, take a few moments, take a deep breath, settle where you are. Follow your breath, feel your breath. As you breathe in and you sigh, letting it out. You breathe in and you sigh, letting it out. You begin to follow your breath as it fills your lungs and surrounds your heart. Breathing in, letting in the light, the life, the goodness, breathing out, releasing any of that dandruff that needs to be gone. Shaking loose any fur balls that no longer serve you. Follow your breath down into your heart. You could imagine it as your physical heart, or your spiritual heart, your metaphorical heart, Energetically, it's that whole area of your chest around where your physical heart is. And as you breathe in and as you allow your conscious attention to move from my voice, following my voice in your head, down to following my voice in your heart. And take a moment to see yourself, imagine yourself centered, physically centered in your heart, as if you've dropped down into that space in your heart, that energetic heart of yours. With each breath, find yourself becoming more aware of that heart that you are. Look around, see what's there. Just as the heart muscle is pumping the blood, the heart energy is pumping the love into you and out of you, going in all directions. And as it does, and as you look around, notice the chambers within your heart. Are they open or closed? Are there doorways that you can't see beyond? Are there areas that seem to be dark, atrophied, or in pain? Just notice. There's nothing to fix. There's nothing to do. On each breath, realize that you bring in greater love, infinite love, flowing into every part of your heart. If there's any discomfort in there anywhere, simply breathe into it, breathing in, and as you breathe into it, letting the golden white light of love fill it and surround it. Nothing to say, nothing to do, simply breathe. And as your heart lights up with golden white light, coming in from the divine, because it's already there, but being awakened by the presence, and you're paying attention to it. Perhaps there are reminders of those you love. Energetic reminders of your mother, your father, family members. People who represent love to you. People you've chosen to love. With each breath, with each beat of your heart, the divine light of the universe shines more brightly. Allow this place within this space and drop into it one thing you want to affirm for your life. One question, perhaps, you want your heart to answer. Any question you want, anything that has seemed to stand in the way of you and your greater truth. Now very gently begin to bring your attention back, knowing that you can return to this heart space anytime, in any way. Allow yourself to feel your area around you, to acknowledge with gratitude those that you've recognized that you love, those who represent love to you. And as you do, I invite you to consider taking some time today to listen to your heart. I want to wish Happy Mother's Day to all of you who are mothers, who have birthed a child and brought them into the world, whether that child was a physical baby or a great idea or a child expression of some creative type, perhaps even a child that is a relationship. You brought something into the world. You nurtured it. You lived with it. You loved it. You held it close. And through it, you came to trust the choice you made in being a mother. See, you're the heartbeat of the universe. And for you, I am so grateful. And so it is. Thank you. If you appreciated that few moments in your heart, I will be announcing soon a time for us, if you choose to come together for a longer period and actually take a trip with an ancient Bali process for opening the heart. You watch for that in the newsletter. But for now, I'll bring Doug back to share with you something about our center and our prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bob Deen. A wonderful message this morning. My name is Doug Moody, and I'm a member of your board of trustees, and I'm delighted to be here this morning together with you. First off, I want to thank all of our existing contributors who support the Center for Spiritual Living Midtown and the great work in which we do in our community. We couldn't be here without you. The center's abundance is supported by the love and contributions of its members and guests. If something here resonates with you, we encourage you to follow your heart, as in today's lesson, and support the center if you choose and if you can. While meeting online on Sundays, we invite you to please visit our website, www.cslmidtown.org, where you can find links to facilitate your contributing to the Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, including PayPal, or you can even mail a check into CSL Midtown at the P.O. Box 14303, Atlanta, Georgia 30324. If you can't wait and feel there's no moment like the present, there's also a link to contribute in the orange toggle of the chat box on the bottom of your Zoom screen. Your generosity helps this center expand its reach to the greater Atlanta community and beyond, bringing our message of peace, freedom, love, and health, especially during this challenging time. I am grateful for your presence and grateful for what you can share to help keep our center thriving, growing, and expanding in prosperity for all. So thank you. Please now, if you would, join me in reciting our affirmation of prosperity, and know with me that it's not only affirming abundance for our center, but also for each one of us personally as well. You'll find this on your Zoom screen. So together, we claim, I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me, multiplied abundantly. And so it is. A couple of quick announcements for this next week. We have spiritual empowerment sessions Tuesday at noon and Thursday at 6 p.m. You can use the same Zoom link that you used to join us as where you are right now, and the same password. So if you feel like you need a midweek boost, please join us. They're awesome. Also, I just want to announce that we are going to be implementing a new contribution system that's going to be replacing Fellowship 1 starting this next week. It's called ACS Realm, and it's actually a lot more user-friendly for people, and it also costs our center less money to implement, so it's a win-win for everyone. You can give by credit card, text, you can give by bank transfer, whatever's convenient for you. Whether a one-time gift, regularly scheduled, or something in between, there's a way for everyone to use and access and give through the system. You also can still give through PayPal or by mailing a check to our P.O. box, and that information is also noted in the chat board below. Those who have regularly scheduled contributions in Fellowship 1 will be converted to donating through the New Realm system. If you're one of these people, you should have received an email from Dr. Bob Deen on Friday telling you how. So check your email and let us know if you have received it. And we invite everyone to consider setting up a committed giving donation. If you have any other questions, please contact Michael Wagner at mrwagner, WAGONER, at msn.com for instructions. Michael can also set one up for you. All donations are processed through our Donate Now button on the website or in the newsletter. They will all be processed through the New Realm system. I want to take just a few minutes to briefly recognize all of the practitioners who are with us. If anyone has any need for prayer work or is in need of a practitioner, please feel free to contact us. We're available here and look forward to serving you. If all the practitioners can wave on screen, please feel free to contact us. We're here for you. I also want to thank next all of our board members for the Board of Trustees. Please wave. These people are guiding our center and coming up with new and creative ideas to make our experience and expanded living possible. I also want to thank all of our volunteers, especially Vance. And I know, like, we haven't been meeting at our usual place where we have our ushers and greeters and all of those wonderful people that we currently miss seeing and hugging in person, but we're scheduled to go back to the Academy of Medicine on July 5th. So if you have any interest in being a volunteer, you can get in contact with one of us, one of the board members or a practitioner, and we'll point you in the right direction. And now I'm going to turn it back to Dr. Bob Deen.
Okay, so join me. Thank you very much, Doug, and everyone who made this work and made it possible. And it's been a wonderful time for me, and I hope it has served you well. To those of you out on Facebook, please look us up at our website as well. We are happy to be sharing this there and sharing with you wherever you are, whatever you're doing currently. So join me, if you will, in our closing. This is an affirmation that is, we speak every week because it's the truth. I believe in one, whoops, wrong one. I leave this place now knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me. And so it is. Thank you. We'll see you next week.